Welcome back, CSE 121, to the dreaded EX28. This is part 3, the last part. And what we're going to be doing now is putting our function on our save button that's going to take our pace and whatever date is in there, either today's date or whatever somebody enters in there, and puts it into a CSV file. And it's very much like the text files that we've worked with before. We actually did a CSV file on EX27, so feel free to look back at EX27 or look at your code for EX27. That should help you out. And I'm going to go back to here, and I'm helping you out here because I already put code in here for an import CSV file. You already have a paces file in here. You already have a CSV file that you could just hit new and save it as CSV. So that's like a spreadsheet type file that would work in Excel. You could open them in Excel or export them out of Excel with a CSV. They're comma delimited, and you're going to go in here, and here I have this information, and first thing you're going to need is this, so you could copy this and put it back in your main and just put it as the third import, and that'll make sure that it uses the CSV writer. And then I'll go back to here, and it says use this in the save CSV function. So I'm going to copy all of this, and we didn't make a save CSV function yet, but we are. So we'll make one right after here, and I'm putting an underscore. And I'll just paste all this stuff here. And then anything that needs to be indented, which is everything, I'm going to hit my tab key. And notice that this needs to be indented, and I'll stretch this out so you can see it a little better and see how that looks. So what's actually happening here is we're creating an empty list. We're making 3 variables for month, day, and year. Now this is already done for you, and it's getting the information as integers. And I think it needs, I'm going to just undo all that stuff I just did. I think the reason I had integer in there is because I think it needs integers in here for year, month, and day. Now I realize why I had them in there. So these need to be integers so they could run this function that's actually generating. And what it's going to do, it's going to generate a date, time, year, and this is from the other samples, but it's going to use the dates that are in there. So it's going to generate a date format, but it's basically almost using arguments here, and it's going to plug in this information at a date format. So it'll automatically put the dashes in between and make it look like a real date when it's finished. So that's what this is doing, and that's, if you look at your other resources for the import date time that I had showed you earlier, that's what that does. And then also what I'm going to do is I'm getting the pace. So that's the pace that we did originally from 7. So it's going to get that as well. And then we're going to append the date, which is this new date in the date format, and we're going to append the pace, and they're just going to have commas, and we're going to append them to this list called paces. So we're going to take that list of paces, and then it's actually going to make it basically a row in this file. So it's going to put a list on each row in the file. We've done that before, and we're going to open up paces.csv. We're going to use A for append. This thing seems to be necessary on Windows, not necessarily on Mac, but I have it in here, so we used that on the last one. And we're doing it as write file. This could be whatever you want to call that. We're just calling it write file because we're writing to a file, and that's what we used last time. And CSV writer is part of the module. That's why we needed import CSV, because down here this is csv.writer. That's a special method that's inside of there that's actually, and then it's going to write a file. So it's going to write that. And then we're actually going to kind of write a row to that. We're going to write a row from the list of paces. So as we write to that file, we're going to write a row to that. So that's what's going to happen here with the save CSV. And I think we have all the information we need from it because we have the 4, 5, and 6. We're getting the information from the pace. I don't know if we have to do a whole lot in here yet because I think it might be done. So I might have made this way too easy for you because you just have to copy and paste it. So we do have the paces file. We should have everything here. So let's see what happens other than making sure on our save button we put in the function called save CSV. So that would be button 3. We just have to find that. And we're going to put a comma here and say command equals save. And I did use an underscore CSV. So whatever you use, make sure you use that. Make sure you have the closing parentheses there. So that button should do that. So we're going to see if we missed anything. That may be it. This may be the shortest video of the bunch. So I'm going to stretch this out here. And I'm going to run this. And there it is. And I'll put in the 2459. And I'll try to put in a date, maybe yesterday. I'll put 5, 3, 2019 is maybe I ran yesterday and I forgot to put it in. So I'm going to do show pace, which should take that information. There it is. And I'm going to do save. And I did not get an error. So I'm going to go over here and see if this got entered there. It did not, although last time it had an update. So it should write that there. Still not putting anything in there. And that usually happens when I record a video. That's usually what happens, is it doesn't work, especially at the very end. So I'll refresh this. I'll stop this and I'll refresh it. And there's our countdown. So let me do it one last time, see if it enters anything in there. I'll put use today. I'll show pace. That's working. I'll hit save. I'll go over here to my paces and nothing's showing up here. To know if that's not working or not, I can do this. I can highlight all this copy. I can copy it and I could go to VS Code and I could go in here and I'll just highlight everything here. I'll paste it. That's all the code I just did. Close this thing up and I'll run it and I'll do the same thing here. And if it works here, then we know we did okay. Do use today. I'll do show pace. That's working. I'll hit save and I'll go to paces and 2009 803. And I think that's the right one. Let me just try a different time just to make sure. I'll go back to here. I'll hit save, and there it is. So it's working. It's just not working in Repellent, which, you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's the only problem I've had with Repellent, where sometimes it doesn't write to these files. But I could be doing something wrong too. I could not be updating these files. Maybe I should have something here to start. I don't think I had anything spelled wrong or anything like that, but for whatever reason, it's just not doing it. I could probably quit out of it. Sometimes it doesn't even like when I have different repellents open. Pretty much it. That's our file. Now, just to review again of what we have here, make sure you have your 3 imports, your tkinter, your date time, and your CSV. Your functions, you have a show pace function. And remember, we just inserted information in ENT7, and we just had to change these minutes, seconds, miles variables so that they get information. And the use today function that we had, which basically generated, it generates this, and then we kind of pulled parts of it out of it to use. And then a save CSV was the last thing we did, where we created a list called paces. And I think I have everything okay with that. So I didn't see any errors or anything like that. So that should be okay. And I think we have all our variables okay, because we are pulling the pace variable. We are pulling the date variable that we have there. So we have those variables okay. So everything looks okay. And we have the file correct. We're appending to that file. And everything looks okay. So I think we're okay. So I'm not going to worry about if that didn't show up in there, and if it doesn't show up, you could always try it out in VS Code and try it out. So make sure you have your main loop at the end, and that should be it with EX28. So hopefully that was a nice opportunity to kind of combine a lot of different things using Python, using tkinter, using some different modules like the date time and the CSV, and writing files. So it's probably our most challenging exercise of the semester as far as what we were doing in here. So that's part of why I wanted to go through and do a video and have some of this stuff done for you, so even if you struggled with it, you can still kind of get this thing working and see what happens. So that's EX28.